This is a training session regarding JobView's powerful DataView feature. DataView is a highly sophisticated yet easy-to-use query program. You can create your own customized views and then filter, print, and even export the data any way you prefer. DataView can be accessed in two different ways. First, the Reports submenu of each module's menu system includes a DataView menu option. Under this menu option, you can see all the different DataView formats that are available for this module. Second, a centralized DataView program can be accessed by clicking on the DataView button in the icon bar at the top of the screen. Now we can see a list of all the modules for which DataView formats are available. Expand any module, and that module's formats will be displayed. For our example, we will create a new view using the General Ledger module Transaction Report View Type. When the Transaction Report View Type is highlighted, the list box on the right-hand side of the screen contains a list of all the different transaction report formats we've already created. We're going to create a new view by clicking on the Insert button. Now we have a list of all the fields that are available for this type of view. Our transaction report view is a view of all the transactions that have been made to the General Ledger. For this view, the available fields include such things as record number, account, account description, transaction date, fiscal period, description, and amount. We can now pick from this list and add fields to our view. For example, I'm going to use the account number, the account description, the transaction date, the fiscal period label, the detailed description of the transaction, and the debit or credit amount of the transaction. We can also create calculated fields. If I click on the Add Calculated Field button, the system allows me to enter a formula for my calculated field. For example, I may choose to add a field which contains the transaction amount rounded to the nearest dollar. When I click on a function label, the system displays the pattern for how this function is to be used in our formula. For example, when I click on the round function, the system tells me that I must include the field I want to round and the number of decimal places to round to. I will now double-click on the round function. The system places the round function and an opening parenthesis in the formula. I now double-click on the amount field, and it is added. I now finish out my formula by adding a comma and the number of places to which to round my figure. Now I give my calculated field a name, rounded amount, and my field type will be a numeric field with no decimal places, since I'll be rounding. Now I say OK, and I see a new column called Rounded Amount. Once I have placed all the fields I wish to see on my view in the right-hand side of the screen, I click the OK button, and my view will be displayed. There are two functions we can perform while the view is displayed on the screen. These include resizing columns and instant sorting. If we click on a column divider and drag, we can resize the column. If we click on the heading of any column, we instantly sort the view by that column. For example, if I click on the Rounded Amount column, my records are sorted in ascending order by amount. If I click on the same column heading again, the records are resorted in descending order by amount. Let's look at extended functions that are available for further massaging our data. First, let's click on the Modify View button and select the second tab, Filter Records. Using this tab, we can create a data filter. Using any number of the fields available for this view, we can create a filter that will show us just the records we desire. First, I'll show you how to create an extended filter. If I wish to see only the transactions posted to fiscal periods 9 through 11, I double-click on the fiscal period, which is displayed in the formula box. I now double-click on Is Greater Than and then is equal to, and I enter the lower fiscal period of my range. This will give me all transactions with a fiscal period of 9 or higher. And now I double-click the AND function, then the fiscal period field once again, then is less than, and is equal to, then the higher period of my range. Now, the filter will show us all transactions with a fiscal period greater than or equal to 9 and less than or equal to 11, or in other words, fiscal periods 9 through 11. An easier method of filtering records is to click on this radio button. Now, instead of writing a filter statement by hand, you can insert filter line items and let the system write the filter statement for you. Let's try a couple. We'll replicate our fiscal period range by selecting the fiscal period field name and select is within this range as the operator. Now we just put the beginning and ending fiscal periods in the from and to fields. When we click OK, we can see our filter spelled out in the box at the bottom. Now let's add another filter by clicking Insert again. Now we'll say, and the account is equal to 10100. Notice the change to the filter statement at the bottom of the window. For some DataView types, a third filter option exists called Use Standard Limit Window. If we choose this option and click the Change Limits button, we see a familiar limit window where we can set the desired limits. The program will then use our limits to create a data filter behind the scenes. Next, let's look at the Sort Records tab. Using this tab, I can specify a more sophisticated sort routine than merely clicking on the column header. For example, I can sort this view by account number first, then by date. All my sorts can be either ascending or descending. If I wish to sort by account, I highlight Account and bring it into my Sort On box. If I want to sort descending, I click on this button to change to descending order. Now I can specify whether the account is to be a heading. Let me explain this. If we look at the view in the background, we see that account 10100 is repeated numerous times. If we are sorting on account number, then we know all the account 10100 transactions will be grouped together, and it's not necessary to print the 10100 account number for every single record. If we specify that the account number sort is a heading, then on the printed page, the account number will show up only once, and the account number will not be printed again until we get to the next account. We can also indicate whether we wish to see a subtotal on this sort. In our example, flagging the account number sort as a subtotal will cause a subtotal to be printed at the end of each account number. I'm going to sort my view by account number first in ascending order, and I'll flag that as both a heading and a subtotal. Then I'm going to sort by transaction date. I've included the account description in my view. Since this will repeat until the account number changes, I am also going to insert this field as a sort field, flagged as a heading, so that the description will not repeat. Now we'll click OK, and the system will apply the changes we've made in the view structure. Now, as you see on the screen view, the account number is listed every single time. However, when we print our view, the account number is listed only once. It will not be printed again until we come to a new account. We also flagged our sort as a subtotal. Therefore, we see the account number listed here, all the transactions for the account, and then the account subtotal here. We also see the next account listed only once, and an account total here. Continuing with the different options, we can make changes to the font. If we click on the Change Font button, we're provided with a dialog box which allows us to select which font we want to use, along with the font size, style, and even color. Now let's go back into the Modify view and look at the Print Setup tab. The options we see here are only for the printed page. We can double space the printed report, and we can specify the paper size, either letter or legal, and the orientation, either portrait or landscape. The last button is the Export View button. This allows us to take the records we've created in our list box and export them to a text file, which we can then retrieve in Microsoft Excel or any other spreadsheet or word processing software. First, we specify a path and a file name for our exported file. We then specify whether we want the output to be comma delimited, tab delimited, or fixed length. We indicate whether we would like to have column headings exported and totals exported. Lastly, we check this box if we wish to see the export file in Notepad once it's been created. We click on the Export Now button, and we see our file displayed in the Notepad. This comma delimited file can now be opened as an Excel spreadsheet. Of course, the quickest method of transferring your view records into a spreadsheet is by using this Open with Excel button. When the button is clicked, Microsoft Excel is immediately opened to a spreadsheet containing the data from our view. As you can see, A-System's DataView is a powerful tool that gives you greater access to your JobView data and greater control of your